What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Stella Herself podcast, where we learn self-growth, talk about relevant topics, and ultimately learn how to become better so that we can create a better world. How are y'all doing today? First episode of May. Happy May, you guys. I was saying this in last week's episode, but I just feel like May is one of the best months, so shout out to you if your birthday's in May. It's just such a beautiful time, right in between spring and summer, that anticipation of summer, but it's not too hot yet. April showers bring May flowers. It's Taurus season. I really feel like it's just a month of abundance and positivity and good vibes. So if you have a triggering memory around this time, just know that, therefore, it's gonna also, only apply this to yourself if you want. If you actually have something, really bad, I'm not trying to diminish that. But it's at least if something bad happened, it would be during a beautiful month, so at least it's not during a horrible month also, So today I wanted to talk a little bit about imposter syndrome and overcoming it. And this is something I've touched on a lot before, but I feel like it's so relevant. And this can affect anyone in any industry, any age. But I'm specifically talking about it from a POV of a girly. But take what you want from it. So I've been reading this book, new book alert, titled Love and Work by Marcus Buckingham. It's been really good so far, and so far just very validating. As of recording this, I have not read too much of it, maybe a little under a fourth. But even in the first couple of chapters, again, it is so validating. He talks about this teacher at a high school that was known for sitting down with each student before graduation for an hour, each student individually, and just truly speaking with them about their dreams, their goals, what they really want, what their passions are, and how students loved this teacher because for most of them, it was the first time in their entire lives that somebody actually cared about what they cared about. So much of school and therefore work is just about assimilating and getting things done efficiently, which is a good skill to have, but that's not our sole purpose in life. We're not machines. Every person is so unique and has their individual goals, dreams, passions, aspirations. And so it's no wonder so many people are dissatisfied with their lives or their career. He talks about how he had a very successful career. Randomly, quote unquote randomly, he started having these panic attacks and he was like, what the heck? What is this coming from? And it was ultimately because he was just under this pressure all the time for something that he didn't even truly care about and wasn't truly passionate about. And it wasn't until he started moving towards his actual passion, which was research and learning about people and why do people do things, that he started to feel just actually fulfilled and normal and stopped getting those panic attacks. Stress hormones are flooding your body and creating these feelings of intense pressure. After a while, this starts to eat away at you. Your mind wears out. It can't contain all the vigilance. This pressure spills out into all parts of your life and you start to panic. It's not this one present moment that's panicking you, it's the buildup of your life on edge. He also talks about how he started meditating and how that helped a lot. And I can say from personal experience as well, that definitely helps so much. Over the past few months, I've been trying to do at least a 10-minute meditation every morning. And I really feel the difference on days that I do that and days that I don't. Even if it's just for 10 minutes, it really is just so amazing. Less than 16% of us are fully engaged in our careers or just even lives, with the rest of us just selling our time and our talent and getting compensated for our trouble. In the worst extreme of always on high-stress jobs such as distribution centers, emergency room nursing, and teaching, incidents of PTSD are higher than they are for veterans returning from war zones. Imagine that. We've created work conditions that are so blind to the needs of each human being that they wind up experiencing more soul-destroying distress than soldiers who've witnessed the killing and harming of other human beings. You're coasting along, doing fine, your job is manageable, the bank account's relatively healthy, but something's missing. The vinyl record is spinning on the turntable, but the needle isn't touching the grooves. You put in your time at work, but it's the company's time, not your time. You're short-tempered and you don't know why. Your successes at work feel hollow and you don't know why. You find yourself resenting the praise you get at work, the knowledge you gain, even the money you make. You low-key resent it all and you don't know why. It's a strangely awful feeling, isn't it? as if you're a passenger in your own life, watching the world slide by without ever getting out and taking action in it. The chapter I have left off on is about instinct and just starting from the bottom, you know, in terms of finding your passion, because a lot of us don't even know what our passions truly are off the top of our head because we've been conditioned for so many years to kind of put that on the back burner or to focus on what's really important and assimilate into society. I feel like this sentence really sums it up. He says, pay attention to what you pay attention to with confidence and without apology. And he used the example of, again, realizing that he was really passionate about research and, you know, again, learning about why people do the things that they do. And there was this instance at a track meet that he kept noticing all of these participants doing this specific thing with their leg, and he was like pointing it out to other people and nobody else noticed, nobody cared, but he just found it so fascinating. And that was kind of the first inkling as to his future career in research and human behavior. So far, really good book. Again, just very validating, and even in the first fourth of it, I already feel inspired and like I'm learning a lot. And again, just it's very validating. That's something I've definitely dealt with a lot. I've talked about here and there throughout the years how I would get panic attacks in high school and how that was just very detrimental. I feel like that was also a big reason why I chose not to go a traditional route, because I just found myself having such a negative experience with the school industry, but just like with school. I was very blessed to have such an amazing middle school experience, and I just had such great teachers for the most part throughout those 3 years. I felt so seen and supported, and, you know, especially in 8th grade, I just felt like my teachers really saw me, 7th and 8th, my teachers really saw me for who I was. Like, they would let me play my YouTube videos in class. I have it in my yearbook. One teacher was like, I will see you at the Academy Awards. Like, I know you're going to do big things. It was just very sweet. And therefore, I thrived during those years. Like, I felt confident. I feel like I had a lot less anxiety. I had more friends. I just felt way more connected to my peers and just in my life. Like, I just felt very happy and like inspired, and like going to school most of the time was fun because, you know, I felt like I actually was part of a community. And then in high school, and I think this is very natural, I mean, maybe not natural, but normal, like typically a high school is going to be a little bigger. There's too many kids to keep track of. You don't get as personal of an experience. And there's probably like 2 teachers in high school that would recognize me now or like care to like say hi. Like, no shade, I had some good teachers. There were definitely some high points, and like y'all remember the vlogs from that era. But I think also, you know, the main point of those years and of high school is to prepare you for becoming an adult, turning 18, entering the workforce, getting ready for college. And so there's even less of that personal attentiveness, or like, what are your interests? What do you actually care about? What are your actual strengths? And it's a lot of just like, okay, focus, like do this, take your standardized tests, this and that. No wonder in this book, he's talking about all these kids loved this one teacher that actually took the time to sit down with each student and talk about their passions, because when are you ever asked that? I definitely just felt like another face in the crowd in high school. I mean, in some ways. In other ways, like, people knew who I was. I still did my YouTube, and especially towards the end of high school, that's when I started to really pick up my YouTube channel and all of that. But it just was not the same sort of feeling. Like, I didn't go to school excited. Like, I started having panic attacks. I just was very, like, depressed for a lot of it and anxious, and I just hated going to school. If you don't feel supported, you don't feel seen for who you are, you don't feel like you're actually a part of a community, why would you want to go to a place like that? That's coming from someone who had such a good experience before, so it's like just crazy the difference. I feel like these days it has to be even harder, you know, with social media. Like, we had social media in high school, but it was the beginning of Instagram, the beginning of Snapchat. You know, we had iPhones, but it wasn't at the level it is now, especially with TikTok and even just Instagram as it is now. And I was talking about this in last week's episode as well, but just that disconnectedness that a lot of people face, and I think especially kids, you know, teenagers, that's such a delicate time where you need support. You need adults in your life that you can trust and ask questions to and be able to rely on. And it's such a weird in-between time where you're no longer a kid, but you're not really yet an adult, but like you're kind of finding yourself, and it's just very confusing and stressful. Kids are mean, you know, there's just a lot going on. And I think just so many kids don't have the support that they need at home or at school. And then you add this layer of social media and, you know, the bullying that goes on, but then also just the unrealistic expectations and even just having more screen time in general, you know, I think is detrimental, especially when your brain is still developing. So I don't really know what to do about this. I think it's important, first of all, that we heal our own inner teens and kind of just reflect back to that time. I mean, obviously, if you have like trauma or severe trauma, therapy is always an option. If you can. It's hard to find a good therapist. But even just thinking back to that time and showing yourself some compassion for maybe the decisions that you made or however you felt at that time, you know, just validating yourself, your past self at that time, and then becoming now the person that you would have needed or wanted back then, you know, the adult that you would have needed or wanted back then. And that's like very deep. Again, if you have severe trauma or anything, like I'm not just saying, oh, this is like a light exercise, like obviously you seek professional help, you know. And then I think it's also about leading by example, especially if you have kids. And like I'm not a parent, so it's not like I'm trying to give you advice on how to raise your kids, but even just with people around you, you know, I think leading by example is so important. And that can look like, in this instance, following your passions, doing what you say you're gonna do, doing the right thing even when it's hard, limiting your screen time, being truly present when you're with somebody. Don't be on your phone. Like obviously it's like sometimes you're with your friend and you just have a mutual understanding, like we're having chill time right now, let's both watch TikToks even though we're next to each other, some parallel play. And take time for yourself to develop or further pursue your dreams, goals, and what you're truly passionate about. Yesterday I went to the mall. I had to shoot some content. And I think it's spring break right now, so I feel like there was so many middle schoolers there, and it was really bringing me back to middle school at that time. But y'all, it was so sweet. So I was in line to get a coffee, and there was a group of 4 middle school girls. They were probably like 8th grade. I don't think they were in high school, but I can tell they're looking at me. And then one of them walks over to me and she's like, I love your makeup. You're so pretty. I was like, oh my God, you don't know how much this means to me. Like if a middle school girl is telling me that was just iconic. They were so cute. I was like, oh my God, you're so pretty. Like, thank you so much. And then this was like the real funny one. I was at Sephora and I was looking to see if they had this perfume. There's this perfume I really, really want. Replica Under the Lemon Tree. They sent me their little mailer of all the samples. And I went through that one so quick. It is the perfect scent for me, in my opinion. I love how it smells on me. It's like citrusy, fresh, but still kind of warm. Not too sweet. It's just really nice for summer, in my opinion. But I was like looking for that one. I was trying to see if they had a travel size of it. They never do. Where is it at? These 3 middle school boys walk up to me. And one of them's like, are you shopping for your husband? And I was like, T. And I was like, no. And he's like, oh. And he picks up, I forget if it was By the Fireplace or Jazz Club, but he's like, well, this one's really good. You should get this one. And I was like, oh, is that what you guys wear? And they were like, oh, no. But it's a good one. You should get it. I was like, why do the middle schoolers know about Jazz Club? Social media is ruining our youth now. It was so funny. But yeah, it just brought me back to that time, you know. Maybe your middle school experience was different. I feel like middle school is always portrayed as like this horrible place and like where the worst bullying happens and all that stuff. Maybe that's the case for some people, but in my experience, it was so much more innocent and pure. I remember in 8th grade, there started to be some tea. People started like dating, like some people started to get their first kisses, but at least in my little bubble, in my world, it was so pure and innocent, and like, I just felt like I could truly be myself back then. And so I think whether or not that was middle school for you or not, I think a really powerful exercise is to think back to when you did feel like that as a kid. Maybe it's when you were younger, maybe for you it was in high school, but just a time where you truly felt like you could be yourself and you were pursuing your passions and just fully into your passions without fear of judgment or being good enough or anything. There was no insecurity or doubt. You know, you were just doing something because you enjoyed it. Y'all, I literally want to cry right now because I'm talking about this, and then there's like these 3 little kids outside playing with their ball, and like it's like a core memory being made, and I'm literally like crying. I'm not even joking. Like, why am I crying? But yeah, that is a really good place to start. Just thinking about what you liked to do as a kid when you were younger and what truly just made you curious and excited. So as far as overcoming imposter syndrome, I just have this realization that I need to share with all my girlies out there. The whole feminine energy thing and in dating and stuff, sometimes it's good to play dumb. And I'm not saying to be dumb, but this really can work in your favor because it's not an expectation of you to be smart. So like if you know how to play dumb, then if you actually make a little mistake or wasn't as good as you wanted it to be or whatever, it's like fine. Because you already played dumb. So I don't know about y'all. I don't know if it's like an oldest child thing, if it's just a society thing, but I like being a perfectionist. But this was literally the best advice I ever heard, changed my life for the better. Like, what a relief. I can just play dumb sometimes. You know, obviously not all the time. And again, I'm not advocating for you to be dumb, but sometimes playing dumb. And I'm sure a lot of you already knew this. I was just late to the game. Why was I so trying to prove myself and how smart I was all the time? So if it's going to best benefit me in this situation to play dumb, especially when, and this is kind of a separate subject, but especially when dealing with guys, you do not want to be like if you suspect something, you do not want them to know that, because what you want to happen is not going to happen. Like, if you suspect he's texting someone or something, you don't want to say, are you texting someone? Obviously, he's going to go delete the text and be like, no. And then, what are you going to do? Like, be like, oh, okay. No, you need to play dumb and peep and let them tell on themselves. So, just a little side note advice. So, if you're having imposter syndrome, like, let's say you want to start a business or start posting on TikTok or something, but you're like, oh my God, I have so much anxiety. If you can just like be like, oh, well, it's just for fun. I'm just playing dumb. Like, who cares? It's like whatever gets you to just do it, you know? And you just don't have to take everything so seriously. And this is like me to me. Because I think it's also about kind of realizing that you don't really care what people think. So whatever little mental tricks you can play on yourself to kind of just get you to do something, whether it's if you really are into writing poetry, but you feel shy, just be like, well. And then I feel like a lot of the times people don't really care as much as you do, especially if you are anxiety prone. So I hope this is making sense. But yeah, just play dumb. Like, and you can just be like, aren't I so cute? Like, LOL. And it's just like, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you think about yourself and are you dedicated to your goals? So if you need to be like, whatever helps you to just overcome that kind of insecurity or anxiety, whether it's about posting or just putting your art out there or taking the first step to do whatever. So for our last little segment, I just wanted to do a follow-up because I went live on TikTok the other day. I guess at this point it's been like a week ago. And it was just a chit chat, get ready with me. You know, we were chopping it up. And my live got banned because somebody asked me how the dating was in NYC, and then someone asked me if I have dated the finance bros in Murray Hill yet, and I was like, no, that's not really like my vibe or aesthetic or my type. And then people started roasting the finance bros, and then my live got banned for hate speech. And I just thought that was a little not fair, because no one was being hateful. Like, we literally were just saying, yeah, they do too much Adderall and other substances probably. And that's just not really my vibe. Like, it kind of gives me American Psycho. It's just, that's not my type. And also, they just seem too young for me. And they also just kind of give me frat bro vibes. And that's also never been my type ever. This was also something I was talking about in that live, was why are the girls on TikTok saying I like dating older men? Once you get with an unk, you never go back. And they're talking about a 30-year-old man. And I have seen this before too. Someone I know in real life was like, yeah, I like dating older guys. 30. Okay. Girlies, I know we are young. I know maybe if you're used to talking to boys your own age, if you are in your early 20s, yeah, it does seem like a big difference. But I am here to let you know now, a bro that is 30 is really not that different from a bro that is 25. Especially mentally. Hopefully at that point they have their life together a little bit more. But men really do not... I feel like men don't really take their life seriously until they turn 30. And so, like, imagine... When did I start taking my life? I mean, I've always taken my life seriously, so I can't really relate to them. And I think an important thing to keep in mind is that age does not equal maturity. So the point of talking to an older guy is that he's going to have his life together more. He's going to be more established, have more life experience, can maybe teach you something, you can get advice from him, ask him questions about, I don't know, business or anything. Where should I travel to next? You're so well traveled. So don't talk to these older guys thinking they're going to be more, like, mature. This girl said, I think it was that she worked in a nursing home or something. And the 80-year-olds were still, you know, acting like bros, if you know what I mean. 30 is still very young, you guys, even for us. Like, I know there's all this fear of, like, your biological clock and all of that, which, I mean, there's some truth to that. But your life does not suddenly end, you know, as a woman once you turn 30. You don't need to, like, freak out. And I mean, I'm not 30, so I can't fully speak on that yet. But just from what I've heard, once women are past that part of their life, they're like, oh yeah, that wasn't actually bad. My life was actually just starting. My 30s were so much better than my 20s. So it's not something to fear, and it's also not something to romanticize if a 30-year-old man... Bro, this girl was like... I think the girl in that specific TikTok I saw that sparked this thought was 19. So if you're 19 talking to a 30-year-old, that's also just kind of a red flag, because you know a 30-year-old man is really not going to have money like that. He's not going to be that established, and if he is, he's too young. Like, he's not going to be usually ready to take anyone serious still. So if he's talking to you, it's probably, I mean, no offense, it's just probably because you don't know any better, and, like, you know, when I think of an older guy, I think of, like, 50 plus, because even 40s, it's like... There'll be 40-year-olds in the club, you know? These 40-year-old men think that they're 30. They're 30, they think they're 21. So maybe by 50, they'll have it together a little bit. Like, if I think of an older man, like, if you told me your type was older guys, I would think of, like, a Mr. Big type. I don't know. A chic businessman that probably was already married. Might have a kid that's, like, close to my age, you know? Like, that's... I don't think of a 30-year-old. Like, yeah, you're older than me, but you're not an older man. I don't understand why the live got banned, because we literally were not speaking any hate to the finance bro community. And then I'm like, what is my vibe? My vibe is a chic businessman. Bros that are canceled. Finance bros, fashion bros, bros that are trying to actively pursue music. No offense. It's like, if you do that as your passion or whatever, that's fine. But, you know, like, if you're trying to be a rapper, keyword trying, any bro that makes social media content, bros that are trainers, gym bros in general, like, I mean, I like a guy that goes to the gym, but if you're a gym bro, that's like a different thing. And oh, maybe that's why I got banned, because I was like, low-key, some of the gym bros kind of give gay, but it's like when they're not gay and they're such a gym bro, it's like you start kind of leaning the opposite direction. And I honestly think that's like a thing, because if you're in the closet, it's like you're trying so hard to not associate yourself or like accept that part of yourself, so you're trying to go to this very extreme version of masculinity, quote unquote, to try to overcompensate for the fact that you're a little fruity. I mean, if you're like a little gay gym bro, that's like completely normal. But it's just like, you know the type I'm talking about. And then when they wear their lifting belts throughout the duration of their workout, and it's like, you're kind of liking the little get snatched feeling, aren't you? Maybe that's why the live got banned, because I did say that. But you know what I mean? And then they'll be like homophobic probably. It's just, no. The gym bros are canceled. Why do you care more about your what I eat in a days than me? You know, that's like unnatural. Club promoters, obviously, they don't even need to be canceled, because that was never like a thing. If that was a thing for you, I'm so sorry. Hopefully now that's on your no list. Yes list is like a chic businessman. Let me know your list down below. Anyone who has public figure in their Instagram bio, no. Okay, so that's gonna be it for this week's episode, y'all. I'm actually in LA the time that this goes live, so next episode will either be me in LA or me talking about the experience. I'm so excited to go back and see how my perception of LA will have changed. I literally have not been back since I left. Since that skirted away. Well, my dad drove. I was like passenger. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening / watching. Let me know what you want me to talk about next time, and I will see you guys then. Bye, everyone.